Hi, friends. We're going to do part 2 of our reading lesson with the Surf Haven town rebuilding. Now, you may have noticed that Mrs. Peterson stopped the video too soon yesterday because we had 2 more paragraphs to read. Usually it stops on an even page, and it didn't this time. So, if we go back, let's just quickly review what we learned. So if we go back to page 30, we learned that Hurricane Stanley seriously damaged the town of Surf Haven. The repairs will cost $50 million. The town is getting together to decide what they should do. Then we hear from some different people. We know that Dr. Kay Smith from the Climate Study Group, local weather expert Tom Lee, and Surf Haven resident John Garcia believe that they should turn the boardwalk into a nature preserve. However, Mayor Jan Brill, Councilman Matt Fenton, and shop owner Phil Pippin believe that Surf Haven should rebuild the boardwalk that was ruined. So if we turn the page to page 34, we will learn about another option. So we're going to read paragraphs 9 and 10, and then we'll get started with the editorials. So here we go.
Businessman Jack Oberobler tried to calm the audience. We could build new shops away from the shoreline. We could have a nature preserve and shops nearby. I will help us do it. Mr. Oberobler has built successful outdoor malls in many towns. A loud debate followed. The meeting ended with no decision. Another meeting will take place early next week. Meanwhile, the shoreline cleanup continues.
Mr. Oberobler shows his plans for the nature preserve and shops.
Okay, so in these 2 paragraphs that we missed yesterday, we learned that there is a businessman named Jack Oberobler, and oops, I don't want to highlight that whole thing. There we go. And he brings up a new perspective. He says we could build new shops away from the shoreline. We could have the nature preserve and shops nearby. So kind of a compromise, right? So another meeting is going to happen next week. And meanwhile, everyone is still working together to clean up that shoreline. So we're going to write a quick little blurb about Jack Oberobler's plan. So, businessman Jack Oberobler suggests a compromise in which the town could build the shops or rebuild, or new shops, I guess. The town could build new shops away from the shoreline and have a nature preserve nearby. Kind of like the best of both worlds, right? Okay, so go ahead and write that down. If you need to pause the video, go ahead. So the next few pages, what we're going to do is we are going to read what are called editorials or opinion pages. So anybody can write in to a newspaper and they can share their opinion about something that is going on. So we have one that's called Rebuild Right Away. We have one that's called Do the Wise Thing. And then we have one that's called Let's Compromise. Making sure I got all the pages this time. So we're going to read 3 different opinions. Now, at the very end, you are going to submit on Canvas which idea you think is the best based on what you already learned and what you hear from these editorials. So let's go ahead and read.
Surf Haven Times, Opinion Pages, September 22nd. Rebuild right away. After reading Surf Haven Debates Its Future, I agree with Mayor Brill. We need to rebuild the boardwalk because the town depends on it. Visitors come to Surf Haven because of the boardwalk. They spend millions of dollars at the boardwalk. The shops depend on the visitors. A nature preserve sounds nice, but people need jobs. If they don't have jobs, they will leave the town, and the town will die. In my opinion, we need to listen to Mayor Brill. Surf Haven needs a new boardwalk, even if it costs $50 million. Jim Logan, Surf Haven resident.
All right, so let's do some highlighting. We know that this is coming from Jim Logan, who's a Surf Haven resident. He says we need to rebuild the boardwalk because the town depends on it, even if it costs $50 million. Okay, so we know that the businesses need it. The town needs it, right? So he's saying that it's super important because the visitors go to the boardwalk. Okay, the shops depend on the visitors. So that's about the businesses. And if they don't, then people will leave the town and the town will no longer be a place that visitors want to go. All right, so he agrees with, wants to rebuild the boardwalk. Next one, do the wise thing. Go ahead and make sure you're highlighting as you read if you find things that are important.
Do the wise thing. I read Surf Haven Debates Its Future with interest. In my opinion, we should not rebuild the boardwalk. Rebuilding is a foolish idea. Hurricane Stanley was a wake-up call. More big storms will happen in our future. If we rebuild now, we will waste money. Dr. K. Smith reminded us that weather patterns are changing. The ocean levels are rising. The shoreline will continue to be in danger. Tom Lee gave some important facts from the National Weather Panel. It is true that jobs are important, but we could build new shops somewhere else. Mr. Oberobler is willing to help. We should pay attention to the scientific facts. More big storms are coming. Rebuilding the boardwalk is not a good idea. Jen Lund.
All right, so this editorial is coming from someone named Jen Lund, and she thinks that they should not rebuild because it is a foolish idea. More storms are going to happen. If they rebuild now, they are going to waste their money because of those more big storms, right? Okay, so she's saying we should listen to Dr. Smith and about the weather patterns that are changing and the shoreline will continue to be in danger. And she says, it is true that jobs are important, but we could build some new shops somewhere else. So she's kind of saying, like, I want to rebuild the shops, but just not right on the shoreline. All right, and lastly, actually, I think let's highlight this. Those two lines too. Now, the last one says, let's compromise. So this is probably going to go along with what Mr. Oberobler was saying. So let's see what Paula Lopez has to say.
Let's compromise. Surf Haven Debates Its Future shows us we should work together. In my opinion, we need to listen to the scientists and citizens. They both have important points of view. We need visitors to come to our town. As the scientists said, ocean levels are rising. and we can expect many more storms like Stanley. Maybe we can't have our historic boardwalk, but we could have something just as good. According to Dr. Smith, the nature preserve in Ocean View gets many visitors each year. That means people enjoy nature preserves. We could build shops at a safe distance from the shore. My opinion is that we can make the best decision if we listen to both sides of the issue. We can have a nature preserve and great new shops. Paula Lopez, Concerned Citizen.
Okay, so Paula is saying that they should compromise, that they need to listen to the citizens and the scientists. Okay, now what she's saying is that they can do both. They can listen to what Mr. Oberobler was saying, and if they listen to both sides of the issue, they will be able to make the best decision. They can have a nature preserve and great new shops. So it says people enjoy nature preserves. We could rebuild the shops at a safe distance from the shore. Excuse me. All right, so now we've heard all of the comments. We're going to go back and write a few main ideas, and then I'm going to have you make your judgment call. So back to page 35. We have Jim Logan, a Surf Haven resident. So we'll start with that. Believes that they should rebuild the boardwalk, even if it's expensive, because the town depends on the businesses there. Okay, so that's Jim Logan's opinion. Take a minute, write that down. Okay, now let's write our next main idea from Jen Lund. So Jen Lund believes that it is foolish. Remember, that's what she said. It is a foolish, waste of money to rebuild the boardwalk because another big storm will destroy it. Okay, so there's our next opinion. Take a minute, write that down. And our last one is from Paula Lopez, a concerned citizen. So she lives there. Can't I? Believes, oh my goodness gracious, they should compromise by creating a nature preserve to attract visitors and great new shops that are a safe distance from the shore. Whew, so much information here, huh? Take a minute, write that down. All right, so now your job. We've listened to editorials, we've listened to the, councilman, the mayor, the scientists, everything. You decide what is the best option for Surf Haven in your opinion. I want you to submit on Canvas your opinion, whether they should rebuild the boardwalk, not rebuild the boardwalk, or make a nature preserve and shops safely distant from the shore. So there's 3 options. I want you to tell me your opinion and tell me why you think that is the best solution for Surf Haven. So please think about that and submit it on Canvas. Don't forget to tell me your why. You can use what we wrote and what we read about and what we highlighted. That's all for our lesson today, friends. Great job. We'll see you later.